Hi, my name is Robert Johansson and I do modeling. Some might think modeling is about, fashion models, walk on the cakewalk, showing clothes and all that stuff. No, it's not. That's not the kind of modeling I do. What I do is to look at someone who has something to do, a particular result. When they have this kind of result, I look at that and try to find a way to replicate that. Once you've been able to replicate that, you find a way to build a model so others can replicate it and yourself can replicate it, obviously. And then what takes place then is a lot of sorting to find out what actually works, the essence of it, if you like. It's a lot like, taking an onion and, putting off the layers and finding out what's the essence is. And if it's an onion, you're cutting up and you cry, because that's what onions do to you. They're very evil onions, are very evil, vegetables. They make you cry. I wonder why. That's, one of the things that makes me. And what I do with modeling is I help people become better. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't matter if you play chess or play football or golf or tennis or whatever. Or if it's teaching, that's what I do. I make people better, whatever they do. And I've been doing that for triathlon, so what I'm applying here is work for triathlon, obviously. And I help the girl reach new heights with this and improve her performance. I don't work with the technique per se, I work with the experience you have when you're running, bicycling, swimming, or playing chess, thinking, planning, all that stuff. And I've been doing the same with the golf swing and the golf game. And I've been studying in the golf swing area. I've been studying Mike Austin. He's been the role model for our new because he was hitting it long. He is famous for his 540-yard golf swing in the PGA sanctioned tournament. You can hit it longer if you go to the moon, for example. Wait, I go to the moon, hit the ball, and the gravity, make the ball go travel miles. But on the Earth and on the sanctioned rule set PGA tournament, that's the longest drive as far recognized by Guinness Record Book, or the Book of Records. A long drive nowadays, they hit over 400 yards. They look like broilers, and they kill the ball because they have special equipment and they practice for that and all that stuff. Playing golf is different. But anyhow, when I started out a few years ago to do this, it was because the player coaching here, Hans Andersson, he had injured his back and he couldn't play the game he wanted to play. So I was thinking to educate myself. So I went into trying online classes, YouTube, some Mike Austin trainers. Didn't work out. I couldn't do it. The instruction I got, I couldn't do that. I couldn't perform. I tried the local teacher, a lesson with that, improved a lot. But he still couldn't tell me what to do so I could do it, It was really complicated. And I still have, when I'm thinking about those, it's really complex. So I've been building a model, and recently I found that you have two pressure points, one in the backswing and one in the downswing. That when you can attend to those, can start, synchronize your own kinetic chain and be able to, swing a lot, natural, if you like. And then you can attend the feedback you get from those pressure points and the ball impact and all that stuff and start to improve your golf swing. That's what I've been doing lately. So I can improve my own golf swing virtually and my game. But more, I've been teaching Hans all those concepts over a year now. In January 2013 he was out there hitting a release pattern. And the release pattern was based on the Mike Austin things I found. To sorting through all this, I had to find out what works. So I was teaching Hans this release pattern, told him to do things, and he was out there hitting really, really great shots, 7 in a row. And with a great release pattern. And I could say that's okay, fine, that works, cool. I got one more detail down into when you do this modeling thing. Modeling is about finding the essence of why something works, and then build a model. And this is where people get confused a lot of times, because when you build a model, the model I'm building won't look, or it'd be instructional like whatever people are teaching in the Mike Austin camp. You see, one of the first things I was, when I looked into Mike Austin was, what he was swinging, what he was doing, was different what he was teaching. So whatever Mike Austin was teaching other people was not the same what he was doing. Now some people tell me that I don't know shit about Mike Austin. I say, fine, okay, I can go with that. Still, it doesn't explain it. It doesn't explain the difference. Well, we don't like your questions. Well, okay, but that's still true. And I'm not alone in thinking that either. So when you find a way that Mike Austin had the perfect swing or mechanical optimized or whatever you call it, that doesn't matter because people can't do it. It's like when people look at Ben Hogan, for example, his swing is based upon a bad right leg. Every swing by Hogan, Ben Hogan in this case, does from 1953 or something like that, is based on going to the right side and to the left side as fast as possible. So he doesn't want to put pressure on his right side, he just wants to go to his left side as fast as possible. And this is accentuated as you grow older. Back in 1966 when he was practicing Masters, that's even more pronounced because his leg couldn't support his weight. So he couldn't play the way he wanted to play. So everybody's looking at Ben Hogan as a great ball striker. And I'm looking at a guy that had a handicapped swing, he couldn't hit that far and all that stuff. Whatever. Anyway, so what I'm looking at, what Mike Austin did, what Mike Austin was teaching, doesn't make a direct match. It doesn't compute for me. So it's obviously something missing here in the translation, as I like to say. And then the trainers have their own version of that. It's like in the karate schools. You have different karate schools because everybody who did the karate style, you can look at the guy starting the school because if they were big and strong, they have a karate style that's big and strong. If they were very tiny and small and didn't have, but have great agility, for example, you have a karate style that's really, really great in agile. So if you're a big and strong and you go into the school of, agile karate, that might not be the best system for you. Wing Chun, for example, the style that Bruce Lee was teaching was based from a female perspective. They were not that strong, so they had to make efficient use of their, fighting skills. So when people look at whatever people do, which I do, is I look at how they do the result and try and find a way to replicate the result, build a model so other people can replicate the result. So I've done that with the goals. I'm teaching Hans that. And the recent result he had led me to understand that what I was teaching him started to work. And I've been able to do, boil this down to 2 points. One pressure point in the backswing, one pressure point in the downswing, and that's feel based. That's based on feel, what you can, feel. It's not based on the positions in the instructional conceptual models, but the thing here, when you have those two things, reference, your feedback from those start to make you do the proper kinetic chain and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool stuff actually. So I'm going to practice that to have a pro-like tour, Mike Austin swing pattern down in the spring. That for me it's exciting, so I can play golf the way I want. And some people say, so what's the difference here? Well, the thing here is that you have a swing it, you can swing about 130 miles per hour, maybe 140 miles per hour if you're built for it also. So you can swing really, really fast. The thing here is that you increase accuracy also. In the Tour Pro circuit, it's really important to have a dispersion pattern. Dispersion pattern means if you hit the ball on the target, right, and you have a 200-yard iron you hit that target with, you will miss to the left or to the right of that target with about, let's say you have a 10% dispersion pattern with iron. That means you will miss the target with 20 yards. If 10% of 200 yards, it's 20 yards. So that means you will average miss this iron for 200 yards, 10 yards to the left and 10 yards to the right. That's the dispersion pattern. Obviously, if you play golf, you want to shrink that to increase your dispersion pattern so it becomes less and less. So if you have like 3 or 4% dispersion, you miss 3 or 4 yards one on the side. Then you can hit long irons really accurate. That's what you want to do. So they have this idea in the golf circuit that to do that accuracy, they have to limit the golf swing to meet some perfect positions and geometry and all that stuff. Stack and tilt, which is popular, and other, Ledbetter and all that stuff. The problem you have with that is you hit it short, and you hit it, you have to actually compensate a lot of body action to be able to perform. And if you want to hit it long, then to hit a really long drive down the fairway, Well, you got into trouble then. And the main thing here is about the back injury. I've been telling people, I was in Spain a few years ago, and the guys there had, of 150 players, more than half of them had some kind of injury in the back. Because if you put pressure on your lower back with a modern swing, you're going to crack sooner or later. It doesn't matter how fit you are, how young you are, your body is not made to put the pressure on the back in that kind of way they do that. So I had to build a different golf swing. So I look at Mike Olsen, he could swing 130 miles per hour when he was 80 years old. Think about that. He's almost 80 years old and he still swings about 130 miles per hour. That's kind of cool. And this was with the equipment they had back in the day. That means persimmon heads and golf balls, you know. Today, he will hit a lot longer than he was able to hit back then. That's because equipment and technology have changed on that area. But anyway, so what I do is make people better, right? I make people better to do whatever they do, you know, either it's chess, tennis, or golf. I find a way to improve whatever they do in performance. That's what I can do for you. If you're a PGA Tour, or LPGA Tour Pro, or a LEP Tour, or a European Tour, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're a golf professional in the golf game, you can contact me and see if you're match and fit, so I can help you make your game better. I looked at putting, make that easier for people. I can, you know, it's really easy so you know what to practice and how to make it better without all the mirrors and stuff like that. And so you can trust yourself, you can trust your senses, so you can know what to do to perform better. And because I found in the golf game that people, they say, you know, how do I make my game more consistent? Well, I looked at Jack Nicklaus and what he was doing, and I was reading an interview by him, and I was saying, you know, I can. So I did some reverse engineering on what Jack Nicklaus was saying, and I was thinking, if I can apply that into my game of wedges and playing out there, and I did that and it worked. And I told Hans, the guy coach, you know, Hans, do that, and he went out, did the competition, hit 16 greens. And he was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And I said, yeah. Because he also had trouble doing that because no one told him what to do to make a consistent game. So I've been doing that a lot. So I'm not just doing, you know, golf swing and teaching that stuff, and I'll do modeling, make people better, whatever they do. Because that's what I do. When I do modeling, I make people better to do whatever they want to do. Either it's tennis or golf or chess or dyslexia. I built a model to improve people who have with diagnosed with dyslexia. They can't read and spell and stuff like that. And I had kids who are diagnosed dyslexia, and the scientist tells me that you can't help them to make them normal readers like you or me, because that's not possible to do with the current models. And I still done that. So the scientists have come to me and asked, you know, we want to do research about your technology here so we can help more kids with dyslexia and this, because that kind of research costs a lot of money. They don't want to do that with me because, you know, my results are that good, but they can't explain it. When people can't explain it, they call it magic or talent. And I look at this differently. I don't look at this as a talent or magic. I look at this as science. So I ask myself, why is the golf instruction so complicated to learn and to do? And I believe, and I assume I got the answer. So my swing now, how it's been, I have my swing videos, how we've been looking for over the years, it's horrible. No doubt about that. My backswing is horrible, my downswing is horrible, my swing speed is horrible. No doubt. But during the spring here now, for the first time, my swing will look really, really good this summer. And I will hit it really, really long also. And no matter what, in a golfer, a guy or a girl, they want to hit it long. Doesn't matter. If you're playing with your partners, if you're an amateur, you want to hit a good drive long out there. If it's for bragging rights or for just pure fun of, you know, having a solid center hit, whatever it is, you know, pure hit or swing, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. If you're a tour pro, you want to hit it 30 or 40 or 50 yards longer. Because if you're able to do that, you have a competitive advantage versus your other people you compete against. I mean, Luke Donald, for example, he wanted to hit it longer. When he started to hit it longer, he lost his game because he had to go outside his comfort zone in his swing system, because his swing system is very restricted. So if it's a restricted system, you trying to hit it longer, you start to go outside the boundaries of his course. And he doesn't understand how to improve his course. I can help him Look, if you're looking at this, or a friend of Luke, the tour you can contact me. I can help you hit longer and more accurately than you do now. And that's what I do. I help people build a better performance out of whatever they do in their life. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. I'm not good at communicating sometimes, but the thing here is communication. When I talk to Hans, I can talk the language he's using because he has feelings. He has this feel when he swings. He has the feel with the impact. He has the sound with the impact. He has his ball trajectory. He has the spin rate he wants to have. And all he has is a feeling about this. I've been telling him about the discoveries I made the last few weeks here. And he said, first I didn't understand them. But now it's obvious that this is how to do it, this is how to understand it, because it just makes sense now. So he can become better at doing his golf swing. And better in the golf swing means more consistent. So he hits it about 20% longer now with the recent instruction I gave him. And I expect him to hit it even longer. So he's a long hitter, and then it makes more sense to play golf. So I like to hit it long with less effort. That's what you want. You want to hit the ball with swing with about 40 to 50%, and hit it as long as everybody else who hits at 90% or something like that. Because if you do that, you have more margin for error. And if you have more margin for error, you have increased precision, and you can adjust things along the way much better with increased precision. So by making you able to hit it longer, you also increase your accuracy and shrink your dispersion pattern. So that's, I think it's a good thing. But that's what I do with modeling. Modeling is a skill set I acquired from my studies with NLP, for example. Neurolinguistic programming was technology that was developed from modeling. That was to look at people who did really excellent stuff. So, for example, Gregory Bateson was a great guy who wrote a lot of books about study things in think tanks and all that back in the 60s and 50s. So when the founders of NLP wrote this book, Structure of Magic, Gregory Bateson thought this is a really good book. But here's the thing, the students of Gregory Bateson did read the book also, and they told those guys that they really should study Gregory Bateson instead, because they haven't understood Gregory Bateson. And that's the thing with when you do something that's outside what people already know and understand reference. When you do something that's totally outside people's map of the world, like we like to say in this kind of field, as I do, I build new models. I build models that work. So that means in my Austin golf swing, people don't understand what I'm doing because my model won't look like, and the instruction won't look whatever they teach them. So some people in the Mike Austin camp and all that kind of tell them that I have the Mike Austin principle or mechanical perfect golf swing, and I tell them it's not. And I understand. I also know why it's not perfect, and I understand also why there is this difference or discrepancies that happens between what Mike Austin was doing, what he was teaching, and what other people was doing. Even the student Mike Dunaway of Mike Austin doesn't swing the way Mike Austin is doing. And Mike Dunaway might get upset by that, but that's still what I observe in emotion. And I'm not alone by that, by the way. And that's why Mike Austin, if he was alive, I would tell him that today, that, hey Mike, this is what you need to explain to other people when you're teaching the system, and he would go, oh yeah, I got that something now. He would do that. Because he tried to explain what he was doing, but when we try to understand something conceptually, it's not that easy to get the essence of it to replicate it in a way. So that modeling is to break it down, to find out what actually works in the system, so we can distill it down to find out, okay, I have to do this first step, and then do this second step, and do the third step, and do the fourth step. Then I can replicate this kind of result I want to have. Cool. But the steps you make might not look, and it's not maybe the way people teach in the system. For example, in NLP there's a physical body drill called zero gravity exercise. That means you hold someone who's standing up, you hold their hips, and you zero gravity them. So you move the body so they can have a central balance point inside the body. Huh? And that takes about 5, 10, 15 minutes to learn to do. Right? That's kind of cool. It comes from Feldenkrais. In the Feldenkrais, you have 3 years of training in the as a practitioner in university and all that. Then you can work with people in hospitals who had a stroke, you know, they lose their, you know, I can't talk and all that stuff. They can work with them to improve their, you know, neurology and all that. Here's the thing though, you can learn to do the Feldenkrais zero gravity drill and have a similar experience or the same experience as a 3-year practitioner of Feldenkrais has that comes from a university. So you have 50 minutes, say, let's say from a good instructor, you can learn to do this, and you have 3 years of training. What's going on? And that's the thing with when NLP, when you do modeling, as I like to say, you find whatever they do that actually works, the essence of it, and you find a way to replicate that result by building a model. But the model you build will be totally different from whatever they teach you in the field. So my model, what I do in my goal swing principles, like I said, natural goal swing action, is way, way different what everybody else is doing out there. And I won't teach you that yet, and I will teach people that and present it when it's ready and done, and I'm able to do it and all that stuff. When that happens, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about modeling and a little bit that I make people do things and that. So, and I did that with Jack Nicklaus because I was wondering about consistency. So I looked into what Jack Nicklaus was doing, what Annika Sörenstam was doing, and something that Jack Nicklaus was telling some report in the interview make us, you know, that makes sense to me. So I did some reverse engineering on that, what he was telling about, built a strategy for that when I approached on the field, and Hans was able to hit 16 greens, and I was able to hit P&I on my approach shot, and I was like, oh, okay. Now I just need to, you know, shrink my dispersion pattern. But with the golf swing I've been having though the last few years, you know, it's a wonder I could play golf at all at my handicap and all that stuff. So I've been working really hard the last 4 years to build a golf swing that I can start to do and replicate and build a feedback from. And at the moment, what I can conclude that I've been successful at that. So if you have any questions, just ask me about modeling and stuff like that. Or if you're a tour pro on the golf circuit, hey, contact me and we can find something in natural fit that can help you improve your game. And if you're a friend who looked down or looked on himself, let's hit it longer because that's a lot of fun.